Welcome into OutKick the show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having fantastic Mondays wherever you may be across the country or around the world. We are rolling into what should be a really great Thanksgiving. I got a lot to talk about a variety of different topics out there. I first want to say my thanks to the ambassador of the Vatican, Brian Birch, and also the ambassador for Italy, Tillman Fertitta, for helping to get set up last week. I was in Italy. I had an unbelievable opportunity. I worked behind the scenes to get my law school friend, Justin Ishbia, who has bought the Chicago White Sox. I told this story a little bit, but Justin and I were talking, and he said, "Hey, Clay, what's the best way I can introduce myself to Chicago White Sox fans going forward?" Because he's going to run the team. And I said, "Well, we should just go to the Vatican, meet the Pope, and invite him to come and throw out the first pitch when eventually you get this new stadium done." He's like, "Do you think we can make that happen?" I said, "I don't know. I mean, it's a good idea. Let's see if we can make it happen." And so the ambassador to the Vatican, eventually I was put in touch with him. I reached out to the Trump White House. I said, "Hey, how would we make this happen?" And on Wednesday of last week, Justin presented the Pope with a 2005 Chicago White Sox autographed jersey by the World Series champion team that year. The Pope had been in the crowd for that game. He was a big White Sox fan. And he was presented with that autographed team jersey, which he was super excited to get. And he also said that he would like to come and throw out the first pitch for the new stadium in Chicago. Pope has not been to Chicago, by the way, since like 1979. So we've got an American Pope who is a sports fan, just a normal dude from the south side of Chicago that happens to be the Pope. We got set up. We got the opportunity to meet him, to convey that offer. It was phenomenal, thanks to the ambassador to the Vatican and also the ambassador to Italy and everybody in the Trump White House who helped to set that up. It was fantastic. It was super awesome. It's my second trip to Italy. If you haven't been, it's extraordinary. We did all the awesome things that one would ordinarily do. Toured the Vatican. We went in the Pantheon. And then we had a night tour of the Vatican, including the only people in the Sistine Chapel, which was unbelievable. And so thanks to everybody who put that together. Super awesome lifetime experience. And I'm glad that I was a part of it. Super fantastic story with no negative connotation, at least that I've seen at all. And I hope in a few years when the new stadium is done, in Chicago, that the Pope is going to be there and he will throw out the first pitch. And that should be truly awesome and outstanding. So that is where I was last week. That's what I was trying to put together. Now, got back in time to watch college football over the weekend. Did not have a good gambling weekend. And also now have to dive into the NFL weekend that was, and a ton of other stories that are going on. Let's start with this, the college football playoff picture. To me, there are 5 teams that have locked up playoff bids so far. That is Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, Georgia, and Texas A&M. Why just those 5? When I say they have locked up bids, I mean Texas A&M could lose to Texas, Georgia could lose to Georgia Tech, Indiana could lose to Purdue, Ohio State could lose to Michigan, and Oregon could lose to Washington. And I still believe all 5 of those teams would be in. So that I am very confident there are 5 teams that are going to be in the playoff, okay? What we're now fighting over is who are the other 7. There are a lot of teams that are in very good shape. If the season ended today, Oklahoma would be in. Ole Miss would be in. Alabama would be in. All 3 of those teams could still lose. If the season ended today, certainly the winner of Texas Tech, BYU in the Big 12 would be in. The season ended today. The winner right now, it would be, I believe, Virginia and SMU. The winner of Virginia and SMU would be in. Okay? We still have to figure out who the team would be. That would be the non-Power 4 conference team. But I guess what you're getting at here is there are a lot of different moving parts, okay? Here is where I think the challenge may come. There is a very real possibility that you have 10-2 Alabama, 10-2 Oklahoma, 11-1 or 10-2 Ole Miss, and 10-2 Vanderbilt. You could also have 10-2 Notre Dame. You could even have 10-2 Michigan. You're going to likely have either 11-2 Big 12 championship game loser BYU or 11-2 Big 12 championship game loser Texas Tech. Again, likely based on looking at the way the trajectory is playing out. Now, it could get really easy, right? Auburn could beat Alabama. You could have a situation where Oklahoma loses to LSU. You could have Vanderbilt lose to Tennessee. You could have Texas A&M beat Texas comfortably. You could have Ole Miss beat Mississippi State comfortably, right? And there might not even be any challenges at all. In theory, Notre Dame could lose to Stanford, not likely, but it could happen, right? So this may resolve itself. Miami could lose to Pitt. But where I think we are headed is this is going to be a tough call for the committee. I think there are going to be a bunch of 2-loss teams, and all of them are going to have a decent possibility of being selected. In fact, if we can pull this up, I kind of laid out, hey, how would this break down if only one of these teams got in? 11-2 BYU, 11-2 Texas Tech, one or the other of them, 10-2 Notre Dame, 10-2 Vanderbilt, 10-2 Miami. Who would you take? Can you guys text me? I can't see what exactly the final results were, but will you text me the final results? I believe Notre Dame won that, but it ended up pretty close. I think that's the challenge of potentially where we are headed as we look at the way this is all breaking out. So that is my analysis of the college football playoff picture. Now, bigger story for some people out there is what is Lane Kiffin going to do? Lane Kiffin could leave Ole Miss and be the LSU coach. He could leave Ole Miss and be the Florida coach. He could maybe leave Ole Miss and be the Texas coach. Sorry, maybe. Who knows what Sark's going to end up doing. He could maybe leave and end up being the Giants coach. Or, and this is what I put out, I don't even know what the reaction was. I didn't read the mentions. Why would the Tennessee Titans not hire Lane Kiffin? Now, maybe the Giants try to hire him too, because Jackson Dart is there. Kiffin could go to the NFL. He could coach the rest of the season with Ole Miss. It avoids him leaving Ole Miss for another SEC school. It allows him to coach out the entirety of the playoffs. Maybe Lane Kiffin has some desire to go back to the NFL. I don't know. But the Titans are the most boring franchise in sports right now. There is zero sizzle associated with the Titans at all. Probably what they are likely to do is go hire another coordinator, somebody who used to be a head coach. They let Mike Vrabel ride off into the sunset. Now, what are the Patriots, 10-2? Why not hire Lane Kiffin? You've got a young quarterback in Cam Ward. Maybe it works like Jim Harbaugh has worked with Justin Herbert. Maybe it doesn't work at all. But wouldn't that be a sexy story that would at least make people care about the Titans for a change? To me, if I owned the Titans, I would say, you know what? We're hiring Lane Kiffin. I don't know how it's going to go, but at least it will make the franchise somewhat relevant. Maybe I'm the only person who thinks that. Maybe I'm the only person who would even make that argument. Maybe I'm a complete moron. Certainly there are many that would argue that. But it doesn't seem like an awful decision to me to break all of this down and just take a chance with Lane Kiffin. Okay, so that is the college football playoff picture. That is Lane Kiffin. Congrats to the Cleveland Browns. Shedeur Sanders, I believe, became the first Browns quarterback in his first start to win a game since 1999. Big story out there is going to be this victory. I think the bigger story, by the way, is the Cowboys. But President Trump hopped on Twitter, Truth Social, and took credit for Shedeur Sanders, saying, if you remember during the draft, President Trump weighed in and said, go grab Shedeur Sanders. He has great genes. And now Shedeur Sanders is the winner. He also reportedly, I think I saw that Kevin Stefanski has come out and now said, hey, the starting quarterback next week, they play the 49ers, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. The Browns are going to stick with Shedeur Sanders, even though Dylan Gabriel is now coming back from his concussion. Shedeur Sanders played well enough. Again, the defense of the Browns has been very good. Dylan Sampson had 70-yard touchdown on a 3-yard screen pass. So it wasn't as if Shedeur Sanders played amazingly well. But to be fair, he wasn't a total disaster. And so all of that, I think, factors in. And congrats to Shedeur Sanders. He gets the opportunity. Great thing about the NFL. Great thing about sports in general is you get the opportunity to prove people wrong by going out and doing the job, and he has. And so I give a great deal of credit to Shedeur. By the way, speaking of credit, how about the Cowboys coming back from a 21-point home deficit to win 24-21 to send Eagle fans into a tailspin after giving up that kind of lead? To me, the biggest story was the Lions came back and found a way to win a game against the Giants, and the Chiefs facing probably near playoff elimination because they were 5-5. They were staring 5-6 squarely in the face. The Colts couldn't land a knockout blow. They were up 20-9. They get tied. They lose they got the ball first in overtime, and the Colts were unable to basically end the Chiefs' reign. And the Chiefs are still alive for the playoffs as a result. Those are probably the biggest storylines that came out of the NFL. And then the other one might be Matthew Stafford. I'll give you a little bit of a tease. We're taping the OutKick show, which airs on FS1 tomorrow. I think Matthew Stafford should be right now the NFL MVP. And I think it's hard to argue. I know there's other teams with better records, but I think when you look at the quality of the teams that they have beaten, I think the Rams right now, as we sit at 6 games left to go for the Rams, I think they're the best team in the NFL. I didn't dive into my Heisman rankings, but I've never had a Heisman Trophy vote. That's a flaw of sports media, I'll just say. There are like 900 people who vote for the Heisman Trophy. I'm not saying that I am one of the 4 or 5 most influential people in the world of college football media. Although I think I probably am, but certainly I'm in the top 900, right? Whatever you think about me, there are not 900 people with bigger audiences that love college football than me. So I should have a Heisman vote. I've never had it, which is why I can tell you, because they're not supposed to tell you how they vote because they try to preserve the suspense. If I were voting in the Heisman Trophy right now, this is before the season's over, so I deserve and reserve the right to change my vote, I would go number 1 overall, Diego Pavia. What Diego Pavia has done the past 3 weeks, he's been on fire. I think 14 overall touchdowns. Guy threw for basically 500 yards against Kentucky. 6 total touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken, against Kentucky this past week. Big game coming up against Tennessee. I'll get into that with Kelly Stewart on the fade here in a moment. I would go Diego Pavia 1. In the second spot, I would go Fernando Mendoza. And in the third spot, if I were voting right now, I would have Marcel Reed. That would be my Heisman ballot top 3 right now. Diego Pavia, Fernando Mendoza, and Marcel Reed. Now, Marcel Reed, huge game against Texas. Diego Pavia, huge game against Tennessee. Fernando Mendoza, rivalry game, but they're like a 4-touchdown favorite over Purdue. And to be fair, still sitting on the outside, I'm not going to go with a running back. Love has had a great year, but I think quarterbacks matter too much. I would, as good as he has been, I would not vote for a non-quarterback this year. Julian Sayin still gets the opportunity against Michigan. If he comes out, plays amazing, then it's possible that I would put Julian Sayin back into the top of my list. But really, I think I'm correct in this. When the playoff rankings come out tomorrow, I don't think Ohio State will have played a single top 25 team all year, except Texas in week 1. I think I'm correct in that. And if Texas were to lose, I think they're going to win, by the way. But if Texas were to lose to Texas A&M, then Ohio State, given the fact that they would have to beat Michigan, is unlikely to have played a top 25 opponent all year. That's kind of crazy. So my point on that is just I don't think Julian Sayin has had the challenge or has had the necessity to be a difference maker for Ohio State like Pavia has at Vanderbilt, like Mendoza has at Indiana, or like Marcel Reed has at Texas A&M. In other words, the wins over value replacement there is more substantial and slanted in the direction, I think, of that crew, those three quarterbacks. Let me pull up Tunnel Towers, if you would. Last month, I was up in New York City. I love all the work that Frank Siller does. I was at Liberty National. I was the MC for their big charity golf event there. And I saw for myself all of the incredible difference that Tunnel to Towers makes. For over 2 decades, they've helped people to ensure that our fallen, our catastrophically injured, first responders, military, Gold Star families, that they are all taken care of. They provided over 1,500 mortgage homes, and now they've promised to eradicate homelessness among the veteran population. You can learn more about the foundation's mission, impact, and how you can help at t2t.org. That's t2t.org. All right. Some of you are watching me right now in the state of Tennessee. I am not going to ever apologize for loving a Tennessee victory over the Florida Gators. I have spent my entire life as a monster University of Tennessee fan. Almost every fall, the Florida Gators have stolen from me the ability to enjoy football Saturdays in the state of Tennessee. They have completely stolen so many beautiful September afternoons from me. I have watched good Tennessee teams lose to bad Florida teams. I have watched bad Tennessee teams lose to good Florida teams. A lot of people out there, and I would put myself in this camp, have been more frustrated by Tennessee's futility against the Florida Gators than against Alabama. Because I'm going to be honest with you, Tennessee beat Alabama a lot. 9 out of 10 years, whatever the heck it was when I was a kid growing up. Georgia right now is frustrating, but Tennessee beat Georgia all the time when I was a kid. The team that Tennessee has never been able to beat is Florida. And so we've got a video here. I believe this is of Joey Aguilar leading the University of Tennessee band after a win. Tennessee was up 31-0 at the half. This was the biggest beatdown Tennessee has put on Florida since 1992. Now, for those of you out there who say, this is a bad Florida team, I say, I don't care. Really bad Florida teams have beaten Tennessee before. Let's watch. I'm going to enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy it. Tennessee getting to 8-3 with Josh Heupel. Yes, the loss to Georgia is frustrating. I'm still angry at the kicker, Max Gilbert, who missed the kick that would have Tennessee otherwise in the playoff. I'm still not happy with the way that the first half ended against Alabama. That basically ended that game down in Tuscaloosa. And then, frankly, I think Tennessee choked away the win against Oklahoma. I think Tennessee on that night in Neyland was better than Oklahoma. Credit to the Sooners for coming in and getting the win. So I'm going to enjoy this one. This was Gainesville, Saturday night, down in the swamp. Watch. Do me a favor, guys. Roll over Sophie Cunningham. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Roll over. Well, let's put this up. DeSantis said that this was rock bottom for the Florida Gators. Even Peyton Manning couldn't win. Governor's right. It is rock bottom for the Florida Gators. I did want to, do we have the Vatican jersey? Did we show that footage earlier? There are a bunch of pictures of the Pope with this jersey. I don't know if we showed it earlier when I was talking about my trip to the Vatican. This is us with the ambassador to the Vatican, Justin Ishbia, my buddy. I believe the Pope himself shared the photo of himself holding this video from his Instagram account, but somehow that's a Vatican photo and we're not allowed to use it. I don't know what the rights are. Anyway, it's up on his Instagram account if you want to go see it. I'll get into Pablo and Riley Gaines because I'm going to record the fade. I'll get into that tomorrow. I do want to say congratulations to Art Briles. This guy was treated completely unfairly by the sports media. He now is the head coach. He has been announced as Eastern New Mexico's head coach. I think he will do a great job there. Former Baylor coach Art Briles. If you want to do Google searches, look at the OutKick stories that we have written about this. He was unfairly characterized as being involved in wrongdoing. He was not. And so I've been telling this story for some time. Also a long form. If you want to search it out of me interviewing Art Briles, all the details behind that, you can find it. And I want to ensure that all of you go out there and make sure that you vote in Tennessee. I'm going to talk about this in earnest tomorrow. My congressman, 7th Congressional District in Tennessee, you need to go vote for Matt Van Epps. That is Matt Van Epps, my congressman. Tennessee, if you're watching this right now, big win for the University of Tennessee. We need a big win next Tuesday, and you can early vote Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If you're watching this in Fort Campbell, Clarksville area, Nashville, Franklin, Brentwood, all the way down to the border in Tennessee, check and see which congressional district you're in. This chick, Afton Ben, I'll talk about it tomorrow, roll all that over, is crazy. She's bonkers. She's a moron. And I'll give you a pick tomorrow for PrizePicks. Go to PrizePicks right now. You use code OutKick when you play $5. You get $50 deposited into your account. That is PrizePicks.com. Code OutKick. $5 play, $50 deposited into your account. You can play in Georgia. You can play in California. You can play in Texas. It's really simple. You just pick more or less on a variety of different athletes. I will have a Thanksgiving pick for you, all of you, tomorrow. Encourage you to go get signed up today. You can be ready to play along with us tomorrow. Guys, incredible slate of college football and NFL action. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I cannot wait. If you love football, this is going to be the best weekend of the year. Again, get your picks in when I give it to you tomorrow. PrizePicks.com. That is code OutKick. $5 turns into $50. You can download the app. You can play on the website. You can play in 40 plus states, including California, Georgia, Texas, like I just said. PrizePicks.com. Code OutKick. That is PrizePicks.com. Code OutKick. We're going to take the fade now with Kelly Stewart. That will be up soon. Rough gambling weekend for me. I don't know how Kelly did. We'll find out. Get hooked up, though, at PrizePicks. Code OutKick. This has been OutKick, the show. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP. I'll see you guys tomorrow.